There we go. How's it going, everybody? It is Pilot Flame, and we are back with a very early but very good deadline stream. You also notice that I look a little bit different today. I got on my newer glasses. They're a lot bigger than what my old ones were, but they make me look. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. They may make me look a little bit nerdy, but they're better for my eyes. So I'm definitely gonna wear those over the ones that potentially weren't doing so well for my eyes. Hey Zaka, how's it going? Good morning, good morning. Everybody's here. Hopefully everyone's awake. I'm still half awake. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, all that sort of stuff. How's it going? Let me say hi to everyone in the chat. Alright, so discussion topics today. We're going to be looking at the goals imminent table as per usual, our XGI and attacking output, some team stats around defense and offense. We're going to look at the season ticker now that we've got the blank and double game weeks. We're going to take a little bit more of a deep dive into that and what players we could potentially be looking to bring in. And we're going to look at the potential strategies going into that as well. We're also going to take a look at the transfers I've already made because there's potential price rises for certain players, but I've gone ahead and done it. We'll look at what my last transfer is going to be next week, depending on how the teams play today, tomorrow, Monday. And then, yeah, we're going to also take a look at the fixtures as well as we usually do off the start. And then we will go from there. We'll also be taking questions as per normal in the chat. Excuse me, a little bit early. Yeah, we're going to be taking questions as normal in the chat. Any lineups that anyone wants me to look at. And we also have a friend here, Little Fly, wants to come by, say hello to the stream. But yeah, let's get right into it. So, just quickly, we're going to go through the transfers that I made. So basically what I've done is I've gone in and I brought in Sanchez, the Brighton goalkeeper. So we have a bit of a big differential with Brighton keeping a clean sheet last week versus Fulham. I think they could potentially do the same thing versus Sheffield United, and he doesn't look to be losing his place. Potter said he will keep his place, and he looked quite good. You know, recorded 4 saves, didn't concede any goals. So in the games that he's played, he's got more saves than he has, conceded goals, which is better than what Matt Ryan's done. I think there was a stat saying that he had 19 goals conceded, 16 saves. Like, it's just absolutely terrible. So if they have a goalkeeper who can make saves, Sanchez could be one of them. So we brought him in because Potter said he's keeping his place. If he doesn't keep his place next week, I mean, he is versus West Ham, but I don't see him losing his place. So we brought him in. We also brought in Charlie Taylor instead of, can't remember who he took out. Oh, Alex Tellez, because I don't think that Tellez is going to play versus Leeds, because I think Solskjaer is going to go back to being a bit more defensive. So he'll probably play Shaw with such a quick turnaround, and he'll play Fred and McTominay. So captain on Fernandez, and we'll take a look at why based on the defensive stats, a little bit different than their own stats this week. And then we will also have the vice captaincy on Salah, although there are rumors that he might not play, but we'll leave it on him anyway, because Fernandez isn't going to not play versus Leeds. Like, it's just not. He has to play basically every game, otherwise United suck. So, but yeah, let's take a look at the fixtures here. We always like to take a look at these off the bat. So early kickoff, there are rumors that Salah will be benched for this game. So take that with a pinch of salt. This is just rumors from all kinds of different Liverpool outlets. But there is a possibility that he could be benched. Now, if there is a game that we potentially want him to be benched for, maybe it is the Crystal Palace game, because he's got West Brom the following week, which we want to captain him in because it's the home game. And there are only 4 teams that currently have the ability to have fans in the stadium. Liverpool, Everton, so the 2 Merseyside teams, Brighton, who are at home to Sheffield United today, will have fans, and Southampton. And 3 out of those 4 teams play at home today, so which is quite good. So we get to see a little bit more fan interaction. Those are the only 4 teams at the moment that are in Tier 2 in the UK. So if you're not familiar, basically they have a tiering system based on the number of cases and growth of cases and that sort of stuff. And if you're in Tier 3, that's like the worst. That means you're above like 150 per 100,000 people, something like that. So yeah, Brighton and Everton and Liverpool and Southampton are lower than that, so they get to have 2,000 fans in the stadium for their home sport, which is good for them. But yeah, back on the fixture. So Crystal Palace versus Liverpool. I think it could be potentially a bit of a slippery one for Liverpool. Crystal Palace have been playing quite well. They show that they're very good on the counter-attack. However, they will be missing Benteke, who provides a bit of hold of play and has been doing quite well. When he's in the mood, can be a very good player. Eze and Zaha have definitely enough to get him behind Robertson and Trent and cause the defense problems. But I think if Liverpool's on the game, they'll probably do a professional win, probably a 2-0. If you have Sadio Mane in this game, he's scored, I think it's the last like 4 or 5 times he's played Crystal Palace. He scored against them, so could be a bit of a differential pick there. Southampton versus City. City not in a good vein of form. Southampton are playing very good. They're in the top 6 and had a chance to go top, I believe it was last week. So it could be a bit of an interesting one. I think I predicted a 2-2 for this one. I'm hoping that's the case because I have Che Adams and Danny Ings, and I think they could definitely hurt City, especially in the opening few minutes. And on the counter, they're pretty quick in their own right too. And I think that City's defense hasn't really gone up against teams that would warrant them, to be worried. So if we go back and look at like some of City's scores, actually we'll just go back to the lineup, make it easier. So if we look at Wolves, they won 3-1. Okay, Leicester, they conceded 5. And then after that, they started playing Gundogan and Rodri basically every game. So 1-1, 1-0, 1-1, 1-0, 1-1, 2-0 defeat, 5-0 win versus Burnley, which is just like kind of standard. 2-0 win versus Fulham, 0-0 versus United, 1-1. Like they don't score many goals, but not conceding goals either, which is something that you have to take into consideration. But overall, I think that they're looking a lot weaker in terms of what they could be. They're going a bit more for more defense, which ultimately takes away from their attack. And that's because they play Gundogan and Rodri, or Rodri and Fernandinho. But you could still beat that as well because they're not the quickest across the ground. Same with Fernandinho. He's not the quickest across the ground either. So you can definitely play the balls in behind the fullbacks and then look to run at Diaz, look to run at Laporte, look to run at Ake, these sorts of players. Because 1v1, the only real good defender in terms of defense is probably Laporte and Diaz. Whether they play today or not, we will see. Everton versus Arsenal. I think this should be a comfortable win for Everton. Arsenal haven't been in good form, although they were able to manage a draw with 10 men versus Southampton. And I think that Everton is one of these teams that can thrive on set pieces versus Arsenal, who don't have Gabriel because he's suspended this week due to picking up a red card from 2 yellows. And I think that Everton will get a boost from, I think Seamus Coleman should be back for this game. So it'll be interesting to see as well. But I think Everton should win this one comfortably. Newcastle versus Fulham. Could be a potential way to get some points for Newcastle. They're probably going to go for it. I think Fulham will as well. And it could be quite interesting. Fulham been looking very good. Cavalera's been, and Bobby Cordova-Reid and their, reshaped defense have been looking quite good. So I think that they could potentially be going for the potential 6-pointer in this game. As it brings up a good question. If I could only have one to prep for game week 16 to 20, Kane or Fernandez, who would be first? if you are bringing them in this week, I would probably say Kane. And we can take a look at that. Let's take a look at that. So Fernandez going into game week 20. Now Fernandez might not have a blank here, by the way. That's something that we need to take note. If United were to beat Everton on Wednesday when they play Everton in the Carabao Cup or EFL Cup or whatever cup you want to call it, the not FA Cup, English Cup, they could potentially play Burnley here, which was a fixture that was postponed at the very beginning of the season. Likewise, if City win, oh no, Aston Villa. Do City have a double game week? I don't believe they do. Yeah, City play Crystal Palace in game week 19. There is a chance that if City go through in game week, they go through against Arsenal in the EFL Cup, there's a chance that they could play their double game week in 19. I'm not too certain on that. I'm more certain on the United one. Whereas if they win versus Everton, they can play their fixture versus Burnley in their blank game week 18, and then they'll have a double afterwards. So it would make sense. So it would be Burnley away, Liverpool away, Fulham away. So 3 away games. So Fernandez looks to be potentially, good going into that. The only, it's a bit tougher. Aston Villa, been in good form this season. Wolves have been looking to pick it up a little bit. Leicester have been looking to pick it up, and Leeds are in a derby. So leading up to it, probably not great. But again, it's Bruno Fernandes. He can score against anyone. If we're going to look at Spurs, leading up to it, Leicester at home could easily get points there. Wolves away could be a bit tricky, but been looking a lot, much weaker defensively. And they have a really good run of form. Fulham, Leeds, Aston Villa, Sheffield United. So I would say if you're bringing in somebody today, in terms of the leading up to it, Kane is definitely a lot better. And he's, again, for these game weeks, double game week players are, you look at them and they're usually pretty good. However, single game week players can be just as good in that. And I think Son and Kane are going to be overlooked versus Sheffield United away, who, again, are at the very bottom for a reason. And could be very good double or single game week players in this game week. So I think if you're looking for the lead up to it, Spurs players look definitely be a lot better. But I think you can probably get away with not having Fernandez versus Leicester away, Wolves at home, Aston Villa at home. But I think you definitely need him in for the game week 18 if he does have a fixture there. Just something to keep in mind. That was a great question. Zaka, is the smartest thing to do making a team slowly for now for game week 19, or use my free hit in 18? And use my free hit in 18. That is exactly what a lot of people are doing. So basically the 2 lines of thought is you can't expect to be able to use your chips efficiently later on in the season. You have to go with what you have now. And currently, with the current set of fixtures for the game week, let's go to them. So in 18, these are the fixtures that we currently have. Now, is it a great set of fixtures to use your free hit in? I would say so, because not many people are going to go into this having triple City. Not many people are going to think about Newcastle, probably. Some people may have gotten rid of Calvert-Lewin. Triple Spurs could be on the cards. Maybe you want to go with a couple Palace players. Some players might not be in your thinking going into this. So if you still have your wild card, it's great to use it in game week 16. You don't have a very quick turnaround, or for game week 16. So after game week 15, you literally have the 27th to think about it, and the 28th you got to deploy it. So I'm going to be doing that. So that's going to be real hectic. So this deadline stream here for the 28th, the Boxing Day official, like the holiday itself, not the day, that's going to be real hectic because Boxing Day is on a Saturday. So if you support or have Boxing Day, I'm not sure if it's a global public holiday, but if it is, you'll have the Monday off as well. So that's going to be interesting. Hey, Neep, how's it going? Yeah, this is what we have. Now, there could be, like I said, a United Burnley fixture thrown in here. And based on the FA Cup fixtures, there's probably going to be a similar amount, whether it be 4 or 5 fixtures in a blank game week later on. But you can also use, you can use your transfers going into it to kind of lead up to it, because you may have a lot longer of a window. We have to go with what we have now, and Triple City is something we could potentially get on versus Brighton. As it says, question is now Fernandez or Rashford. I had Rashford for a while, but only took him out when he brought in 3 and 5 points, and when I did that, he started scoring again. I think you can't go wrong with Fernandez because of the fact that he has penalties, and is someone who is always going to be involved. Like, if Rashford and Martial were clinical that day versus Sheffield United, the score would have ended around 6-2, and Fernandez would have had 3 assists. Rashford would have had a hat trick. Martial could have had a brace. But again, when Pogba plays the pass in the Martial, he scores. When Bruno plays the pass in the Martial, he chest miscontrols it and ends up, it ends up going out of play. So, but yeah, it's just a bit unfortunate. I think Bruno should do well, and Bruno's going to be the player to break Leeds' defense almost certainly. Had a horrible game week, no points from Grealish, Watkins, De Bruyne, or Fernandez. Yeah, it wasn't great. Turns out the Bruno versus De Bruyne captaincy choice ended up being quite easy for people who captained De Bruyne, because he ended up getting 2 more points because he got bonus points, which is something you'll see from De Bruyne quite a lot. He doesn't need much to get bonus points, whereas Bruno, it's a bit flippant. So there are some times where he'll need, not much at all, and there's times where he'll need a lot because of his percentage pass completion rate. I'm also planning to captain Grealish. To be fair, I prefer Salah, but I'm not sure if he will start or not exactly. This is just rumors. Again, take it with a pinch of salt. And is Salah, able to come on versus Crystal Palace and potentially impact the game? Because it could be like a 1-1 going into the last part of the game. And I think he definitely can. So I would say just take it with a pinch of salt. If you think Salah's the best captaincy choice, then captain Salah. But I think if you have Bruno, I think he's a better option. I think if you have Kane, he could be a better option. I think if you have Grealish, he's someone who could be a differential captain this week. Calvert-Lewin is another one that people are overlooking. People are thinking, oh, they see Arsenal, big team, big 6 player. But Calvert-Lewin could do quite well versus Arsenal, so we'll have to see. I don't have him. He's a player that I'm worried about this week, and the 2 Spurs boys are the ones that I'm worried about this week. Everyone else, not really too much. Chelsea, don't really worry about them. Mane, not really fussed about him. But yeah, overall should be fine. For those that have joined just a little bit late, I'll just reiterate my transfers. Basically, I took out McCarthy and favored Sanchez in goal. He's taking the place of Matt Ryan. Looked good against Sheffield United. What can go wrong? A bit of a differential, a lot of a differential, 0.2% owned. And we brought in Charlie Taylor, someone who's probably going to go up in price going into Sunday's games, and we want him for the potential double game weeks as a little bit of a bench boost option, because he'll be blanking in game week 18, but that's probably going to be free hit territory, whereas in game week 19 Burnley play West Ham, which isn't bad, and then they also play Liverpool, so potentially could be bad versus Liverpool, but again, double game week players that are cheap are usually quite good to have on hand. Looking back at the fixtures here, Brighton versus Sheffield United. So again, hopefully that we get a clean sheet from our 2 Brighton boys. That'd be very good. And I just think Sheffield United made them look good. Like, one of them was a mistake by Dean Henderson, and the other one was just a bit unlucky. Lindelof, the ball comes in, heads it into the back of McGoldrick, and then ends up going in the net. So, and had we just told Maguire just go up and win the header, they wouldn't have scored basically. Spurs versus Leicester. This is probably going to be the most intriguing game of the week, and I'll probably do a tactics talk on it. Either this or Southampton City, maybe. I will be doing the tactics talk for Liverpool Spurs on Sunday, and the other tactics talk, whether it's Spurs, Leicester, Man City, Southampton, is probably going to be next week, Thursday, so Christmas Eve. For that. But yeah, could be very interesting because if Leicester set up to go on the counter, I think they're favored, and Brendan Rodgers will know exactly what Mourinho's team's going to do, which is weird because a lot of coaches know what Mourinho's team's going to do and they just can't beat it. But if they just take Ndidi, stick him on Kane, little tactical foul here every time he tries to get the ball away, then should be smooth sailing for Leicester. And I think that Vardy in open space, Reguilon's fast, but he ain't Vardy fast. Aurier's fast, but he ain't Vardy fast, and the center backs are slow. So if Reguilon gets up high up the pitch, I think Vardy could potentially go get him behind him. Same with Aurier. So we'll have to see how they play it out. United versus Leeds. I mentioned this before in the preview on Thursday. This could be an anything score, really. Could be an absolute anything score. And both teams defensively are terrible. We'll see that in terms of numbers. Leeds are at the very bottom, and we'll see that in a little bit. But it could definitely be an anything score. This is why I think Bruno's favored over the majority of the captains. I think Kane is potentially rivaling it, maybe on set pieces. Like, I think this is more of a Harry Kane type of game rather than a Heung-min Son captaining type of game. So like last week, if you're going to captain somebody, hindsight's obviously 2020, but Son is the type of player you would captain versus Liverpool because of he can get in behind Trent and Robertson. Whereas this game, I think Leicester are going to be more defensively astute, and you're going to need to rely on Kane's brilliance inside the box, his aerial threat, which he's very good at, and Leicester are very weak at defending, and potentially winning a penalty and that sort of stuff too. And Kane's shot from outside the box is probably one of the best in the world. So, but Fernandez versus Leeds, all the numbers show, and we'll get to it in a second, that he could potentially get a nice hole here, even though it is at home. And this team, Leeds, they're very good in the opening 25-30 minutes. Are very scary. United usually starts slow, so if Leeds get off to a good start, it could potentially put United in a very big hole and could cause them problems. But that doesn't mean I don't think that United could get into the game and then slowly make their way back. Maybe they go to goal or two down and make a comeback and end up 2-2, 3-2. Score could literally be anything. Both offenses are nuts. West Brom versus Villa, a derby. Potential rumors that Barkley may not be back for this one, but is close to a return. I believe Dean Smith said he was going to be assessed. But yeah, Aston Villa, Grealish usually gets up for the derby, and I think the earlier shout by Izaka saying that he's going to captain Grealish could be a good shout. I expect Grealish to do quite well in this game. Not necessarily going to be highly owned in terms of ownership overall. He is 43.7% owned, but his captaincy numbers isn't going to be like 80+%. So if you do captain him and he does well, then you're looking quite good because Grealish will be in the bonus, no problem. Burnley versus Wolves, I think it's going to be a dull 0-0, almost certainly. I don't expect them to not, be a 0-0 basically. Or it's maybe a 1-0 to Burnley, but it's pretty hit or miss there. Chelsea versus West Ham, again, another London derby. No fans in the stadium this time for Chelsea though. West Ham have been in good form. They know what they're one of the very few teams in the league that know what they are and how they want to play. So if you look at the way Liverpool want to play, Southampton want to play, Everton, Spurs, Leeds, these are teams. West Ham's one of the teams where you can say, I know exactly what I'm going to get out of David Moyes' team. And Chelsea is one of those teams where you don't know what you're going to get out of them. Havertz and Werner were probably the two worst players on the pitch in their last outing. Havertz mainly. And I think they haven't really got the system right. Mind you, they haven't had all the players that they've wanted to play all on the pitch at the same time. So they haven't had like Werner through the middle, Pulisic off the left, or maybe Pulisic through the middle, Werner off the left, Ziyech off the right, Havertz in behind, Kovacic, Conte, or Mount Conte, and then their back four with their new goalkeeper in there. They haven't had that yet in any game, so we'll have to see kind of how it goes on that front. But yeah, this is the current lineup that I have. I'm going with Fernandez captain over Salah. Again, Salah is potentially going to be benched today, but we will see on that front. Let's take a look at the goals imminent table. So if you're not familiar, this is the Fantasy Football Scout members area. And basically, this is the subscription you pay. I think it's like £20 for to basically get access to the area where it's all a bunch of stats powered by Opta and that sort of stuff. And you can make different tables and all that sort of stuff. So this is one of the tables. It basically shows which players are in line to potentially score this week or overdue for scoring. So I'm just going to move it across just so you can see it's organized by, if you can see on the far right here, expected goals. So I'll read those off if I need to. But these are the players that are on the goals imminent table. Hey, how's it going, Mono? You sound like it's 4 a.m. there. It's 6:28 a.m. actually, so not far off, to be fair. But it is quite early, so that's why I have to use this mic, unfortunately, because usually I have I'll pull it into shot here. Usually I have this Blue Yeti here, which sounds a little bit nicer. So I have to how far can I go? Right there. I have to be a little bit quieter because I don't want to be waking up people. So I might sound a little bit more bassy, as it were. But yeah, so in terms of the goals imminent table, expected goals, Calvert-Lewin is at the top of the list, 2.66. That's why I'm pretty terrified of him. He's had 3 missed big chances, 4 big chances total, 11 goal attempts, 11 shots inside the box. Again, very Calvert-Lewin-like, staying within the width of the box, or the width of the goal, making his shots inside the box. He's had 1 goal in the last 4 game weeks. That's what the table is spread over. Cavallero from Fulham is up there. De Bruyne, someone who definitely should be expecting goals. He should have scored at least 1 extra goal than what he already has in the last 4 game weeks. Timo Werner, 1.77 more goals than what he should be scoring. 1.77 more goals than what he has. Ollie Watkins, another one. Aubameyang, I mean, he's been scoring in his own net, although he did score in his last outing versus Southampton, but is still on there. Bruno Fernandez should be getting a goal sometime soon. Mason Greenwood's on there. Sebastian Haller, who had a fantastic overhead kick. And then there comes Sadio Mane, someone who's been not in the greatest of form. He hasn't scored in the last 6 games. I think I want to, if I'm saying that right. Yeah. So Calvert-Lewin, 2.66 expected goals over that time, has only scored 1. So in terms of who's expected to score the most in that time, is Timo Werner at the top, 1.77 goals. Do I have all my chips left? I do. So I have my wild card for this half of the season still, which I'm going to deploy for Game Week 16. Last chance to get to use it. and load up on double game week players, and then use a couple of transfers going into it to potentially work and weave around getting as many double game week players as I can that seem fitting. But we'll take a look at that. Some single game week players might be overlooked as well. And free hit in 18, because you can only go with what you have. Now there is a potential chance that United Burnley gets put in that game week 18 if they were to beat Everton on Wednesday in the EFL or Carabao Cup, whatever you want to call it. Let's take a look at the team stats attacking. So this is a table that is going to be a bit wonky. So I'm going to move the little things here. So the only other column that you can't see is big chances total, but I'll sort those by that in a second. So can I move these columns across? No, unfortunately I can't, because it's not my table. But if you look at expected goals to score in the last 4 game weeks, so this is game week 10 through game week 13, Leeds is top with expected goals in terms of their XG stat, and they've scored 8 goals, so it makes sense. But if you look at like as an example, Chelsea should have scored almost 7 goals. They've only scored 4. Man City should have scored 8. They scored 8. United should have scored 6.34. They scored 9. So United are actually exceeding that in attacking options. Everton are underperforming. Should have scored 6. Only scored 4. Spurs, we look way down the bottom here. You can probably can't. If I do that, move the chair out of the way. Should have scored 2.57, but have scored 4. And that's why Kane and Son's expected goal involvement is a lot lower than a lot of players, and they're still returning. Why are a lot saying build towards a great team in game week 19 now already if there's a free wild card in game week 16? Well, there's not a free wild card in game week 16. I still have my wild card from the first half of the season still. So some people used it in game week 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way up until now. But I've hung on to mine for the first half. So the last game week that you can use it for is game week 16. So if you use your wildcard, then you have to build towards the double game week players in game week 19. If you do have it, then you can use it. Victor Sweet, thank you for the follow. Much appreciated. And then has it put because the wildcard then could be used for the double game week or blank game week. Yeah, so you can tailor your wildcard depending on what you want to do. But I think it's better to tailor your wildcard for a set of double game week players. Maybe make some couple transfers here and there so you can keep some short-term players in there and then get rid of them for a double game week player or something like that. And then just free hit for the for game week 18. Oh, you have your wild card. Okay, yeah. So it's easier to tailor for the double game week using your wild card. So we'll do a mock one towards the end of the stream to kind of show you kind of what you can do. And remember, when you use your free hit, you have to, if you have 2 free transfers going into a game week in which you free hit, it will remove those 2 free transfers and you only have 1 the following week. So remember that. So in game week 18, if you plan on free hitting, you will only have 1 free transfer in game week 19. Just remember that. So if you're wildcarding in game week 16, in game week or for game week 16, you need to use your transfer in game week 17. Otherwise, you're gonna potentially lose it, or you will lose it. So you can bring in somebody that may be a one-off on your wildcard. That's a single game week player. and you can basically utilize them for that game week if they have a good game week. So let's go back and look at the. I'm just gonna bring up the fixtures so you can see them really quickly here. So in game week 16, a team that could have a one-off game that could be quite good. I mean, Spurs obviously, but Spurs are a very good single game week. I'm trying to think who does not have a double. Or actually no, it'd be for game week 17 rather. So a team that that has a good single game week. Actually no, it'd be a good single 16 because you have to get rid of them for 17. So maybe the likes of Timo Werner, have him in for versus Aston Villa, and then take him out for City, and then you'll have triple Chelsea in that game probably because you'll go with double Chelsea defense because they have a double game week versus Fulham and Leicester in that week too. So attacking. How reliable is the rumor on Salah not starting? I don't know how reliable it is. It's just coming from a bunch of like so you have like Manchester Evening News is like for United. It's like a bunch of like Anfield Express and that sort of stuff. So they're usually somewhat on, but some people are saying that Salah's starting. Some people are saying not Salah starting. Again, it could be a situation where it's just scaremongering, but again, the amount of times that Salah actually gets rotated is not very often. And he's a rhythm type of player, so he's the type of player where you need to have him playing game and game and game and game so that he gets better and better and better and better. And I don't think Salah's played particularly well the last two games, and he scored twice, so very fortunate to get a penalty, also very fortunate to get a deflection. But again, is what it is. If wildcard all in for game week 20, does that leave you exposed for or 19? Does it leave you exposed for game week 20 onwards? Not necessarily, because you have fixtures that are good afterwards, and then you can also adjust your team accordingly. And we'll go through what players can have good fixtures after that as well. Awesome content for yourself on YouTube. My midfield: Son, Salah, KDB, Fernandez, and Grealish. I like it. Looks very good. Thank you for the support as well. I also said thank you for the follow. I don't know if you were on the stream at the time, but thank you for the follow as well. But yeah, actually now that we're on the topic, let's just go and do a quick look at what we could do for a potential double game week. So we would get rid of so De Bruyne will probably not have a double game week. Bamford will. Ings and Adams probably will. So some double game week players you could potentially look at. So Bruno has a double game week, but also has Sheffield United, Arsenal, Southampton, all defenses that he could potentially score against after the fact. Salah, another one. After the fact, he Spurs away, but he's already scored versus them. West Ham, Brighton, still quite good. Let's take a look at the West Ham players. So some goalkeepers that I'm looking at. One being Fabianski, and the other one being Johnston from West Brom. So Johnston racks up a lot of saves, may not keep clean sheets, but can get something. Wolves, West Ham, and then he has Man City at home, Fulham at home, Sheffield United away. But Fabianski in game week 20 has Crystal Palace away, which you would think is probably a better pick for him. He has a blank leading up to it. But that's a free hit. And if you didn't want to use your free hit, Johnson doesn't have it either, so you have to work something around there. Those are the two players you could potentially use. Kufau is another one. Very cheap defender, very good. Souček, someone who's been pretty instrumental. Again, these sorts of players that I have in here, all of them are going to start. All of them have a double game week. All of them are going to play. That you can potentially rotate. Burnley, again, they have a blank, but they have great fixtures leading up to it. Sheffield United and Fulham. They have, not so good double game week. They have Aston Villa at home, 21 and 22, not so great there. But if you look at Kufau's, 22 and 23, Aston Villa away, Fulham away, looks a lot better. Who else? Son and Kane are someone who have great fixtures leading up to it, and if you only want one of them going into it, you can have Son or Kane again. But again, they have Sheffield United. Their bit of good form, as it were, is they have Liverpool, which they competed with Chelsea, who they've competed with Man City in this sort of like on off run. So maybe not two, maybe just one is probably good for the single game weeks. And I would say versus Brighton, probably Son's better, probably West Brom, probably Kane's better. But again, they played them quite tough. Chelsea, another one, has a double game week. Zuma and Reece James look to be the best options, even though they were, didn't get anything last game. Zuma came close. But if you look at their fixtures beforehand, Aston Villa at home, okay. Man City at home, not great, but again, look for more attack returns. Fulham and Leicester, good double. Wolves, Burnley, both at home, should be quite good. Spurs away, not great, but then Sheffield United, Newcastle should be okay as well. And then you're looking at that team there, and you're looking at, I have 2 players to fill in for 5-ish million. You can say that you could put in Dallas as a double game week player. Because leading up to it, West Brom away, pretty good. Spurs away, not great. So that means you'll probably play both Chelsea players or one of the 2 Chelsea players. Kufau's Everton. So not ideal. In 18 or 17, you're playing Charlie Taylor. So maybe you play Charlie Taylor, Zuma, and James, and you just kind of suck it up and hope for like a 0-0 or something between the 2 top teams, which has happened quite a lot this year. And then lastly, you're looking at a midfielder, on the cheaper side, potentially as a double game week. Just trying to think of one that potentially could, spring to mind. If you don't fancy Che Adams, then you're gonna go for Antonio instead, and you don't want Fabianski in goal. Maybe you go with Meslier or somebody like that who has a double game week, and then you could look at a potential Southampton midfield. I'm not sure what the prices are for them. Maybe Theo Walcott maybe gets 2 games. If you have a little bit extra cash, you can go for the likes of Ward-Prowse. So let's say you did want to go double Chelsea defense. Maybe you wanted to go, I don't know, who would be an also bad. I mean, you could say Leeds potentially could be good defensively. But yeah, you can see how the team kind of functions itself. Now, Antonio could be considered a risk because he's just one of the, could be one of the players that is, potentially injury prone. All right, let's bring the attacking stats back up, and we'll move those back across. All right, let's take a look at the chat here. Yeah, you usually plan in banks of 5 game weeks. That makes sense to me. Some people do 4. I usually have the 4 to 6 mark is usually, which 5 is bang in the middle. Say Salah starts based on their current form. Inform Son against Leicester defense. DCL against Shambolic Arsenal with 2 red cards. Or out of form Salah against Crystal Palace with a shaky defense. I think DCL looks to be quite good. Again, on the goals imminent table, Arsenal's defense doesn't have Gabriel. Could be a big differential. I mean, Calvert-Lewin's still very highly owned. I'm worried about him this week. I think if you have Kane, I think you can go Kane. I think you can go Son. I think you can go Bruno. There's a bunch of different options. But if you have to pick between those 3, I don't think Leicester is a Son type game because Leicester are going to be sitting in. I think it's more of a Kane type game. If you have Kane, Kane's definitely better. But in that order, since Salah's a bit of a risk, it is Crystal Palace away who have increased, have upped their form. I would say DCL out of those 3 that you mentioned. If Salah starts, it's a bit of a tricky one. If I know 100% Salah's going to start, I'll probably lean towards Salah. But since it's a bit up in the air, I would say DCL. I got in Taylor today. Do you feel stupid? No, I got in Charlie Taylor as well. So I think he's going to do well versus Wolves. I think they'll keep a clean sheet, and he's a potential double game week player that could rise in price going into tomorrow. So I think we answered the Hazard's question for captaincy. So yeah, basically, if I had to order those based on if Salah starts, I would say Salah, if I know he's going to start, then DCL, then Son. If Salah isn't going to start, obviously he goes down the bottom of the pecking order, and then I would say DCL, Son, Salah. You getting back Kane or Son before wildcard in game week 16? I will be getting them on the wildcard, almost certainly, for game week 16. So next week, I'll show you what my transfer is for next week. It's pretty straightforward. It's Ben Chilwell out, and it's going to be for either one of these two familiar faces, Andy Robertson or Trent Alexander-Arnold. It's going to be for one of those two, because West Brom at home is too good, and I think they could potentially concede. West Brom could concede goals, and I think that Robertson, probably leaning more towards Robertson just based on form. And if you have Salah, it's better to have Robertson, because Robertson can cross to the back post, or slide the ball across to the penalty spot where Salah usually hangs out. If you had Mane, I would say go for Trent, because Trent swings the ball into the back post, and Mane is usually very good at heading. That's why I think Mane suffered, because Trent's been out during that time too. So, but yeah, no worries, Hazard. Always like the input, as per usual. But yeah, getting back to the table here, total number of big chances, I'm sorting it. Basically, City's top with 15. United's then second with 13. But down the very bottom, Burnley 2, West Brom 3. You can't see it because it's off screen, but I'm just reading them out. Wolves only 5 big chances. Not great, which is why I think Burnley could potentially keep them out. Leeds, again, 10 big chances. So United and Leeds create a lot of big chances, which is why it could be quite open, which is why Fernandez and Bamford could end up we could easily see a game where it's 3-2 United, Bruno with brace assist, Bamford with a brace, Rashford with a goal, 2 assists. You could see anything today, or tomorrow rather, when the game is. Crystal Palace don't create many big chances. Liverpool have only created 5 big chances in the last 4, so keep that in mind. Their expected goals, Liverpool, 4.24, but they scored 8 goals. So it is a bit. They've been playing a lot better than what they have been, or what their stats would otherwise suggest. I have Cresswell and Souček on the bench versus Adams and Bamford starting. I think that is. Who does West Ham play this week? They play Burnley. I don't think I think Adams could definitely score. I definitely think Bamford's good to start. Maybe Cresswell is an argument, because you would think that maybe they keep a clean sheet. But that actually segues us on nicely. Let's go to the team defending stats, so we can take a look and see what in terms of defensive stats. Chelsea away. Is it Chelsea away? Oh yeah, I had the wrong fixtures up. Whoops. Yeah, Chelsea away, you probably don't want to play West Ham. I think Adams can definitely score more than maybe Souček can score versus Chelsea, I would think. So I think those are the 2 correct players. XG conceded. Top of that list. Leeds, West Brom, Burnley, West Ham over the last 4. So Burnley conceding potential goals, but they are limiting them from their opponent. Burnley have XG conceded a 7.08, but have only conceded 6. And they're getting better and better and better. And I think game week, when did they play Man City? It was game week 10. So once that fixture goes out of the last 4 fixtures, they'll be all right. So if I were to change this range to last 3 game weeks, you'll probably see Burnley drop way down. XG conceded Stats didn't change. Why not? Burnley's still top. I don't understand it. Anyway. Burnley should go down. But anyway. Maybe I'm just bugging out on it to use the table. But Burnley are very good at deceptive at blocking shots. And they've been Burnley a team that started off slow. They didn't have a fixture at the beginning of the season. And are slowly getting back into, to form. Thanks for the captaincy choice. No problem. KDB, Salah, Bruno, Amara's captain is my fear. I don't think De Bruyne captain is ideal this week. I think Bruno is definitely the best out of those. But yeah, Leeds XG conceded, 14 big chances. So they're top of big chances conceded, the top of XG conceded. Goals conceded, they're top 3. So they're definitely up there. And then if you look at some of the best defenses in the league in terms of XG conceded, Crystal Palace is in the top 4. And we saw that Liverpool, in terms of creating big chances, wasn't actually up there. And if they're going to bench Salah, that could definitely hinder their output. So I think that, Crystal Palace on paper is a tougher fixture. And apparently no pictures of Salah in training. Bruno over Salah is definitely what I'm going for. I think it's a better fixture for Bruno just because of the fact that these stats show, 14 big chances conceded. Should have conceded around 8 goals. Goal attempts inside the box. Again, Leeds is top 3. Goal attempts conceded. Leeds is top 3. Goal attempts out from outside the box. Leeds are further down because teams are getting more into the box. So, yeah. Bruno probably has a better chance of starting. Yeah, that's for sure. A lot of pictures of Minamino in training. Yeah, he could potentially play, through the middle or something like that. Or on the right. I don't know. Zodiac Hay just got home from a run. Hopefully your run was good. You added bass to your headset mic. I did. I added a little bit of bass to it. So it's not as crap. Because it by itself, it's usually terrible. And like I said, normally I would use this mic here that I have, which is it's a Yeti. But since it's first thing in the morning, I have to use this one because it's a little bit easier to, if I want to lean back in my chair and talk like this, I can. So, yeah. Remember, just a reminder, 7 minutes left till the deadline. 7 minutes left till the deadline. So let's quickly breeze through. Stream's flown by. Let's take a look at XGI and attacking output. So I'm going to shimmy this across here a little bit. So one column that you can't see on screen at the moment is the opinion on Rashford. I think he's very good. I think he's super hot and cold. And maybe those goals would do him, a world of good. I think he could be a big differential. I think if you have him, he could do quite well. But again, could be super hot and cold. Rashford could miss 15 chances today, but he could also score all 15. That's like he's that hit or miss. Age, I am 28. I am 28. I may look older than what I am because I have a lot of this stuff, which is quite annoying. But yeah. Still a youngster, I'm 35. True. But I thought about it the other day. I was like, damn, next year I only have one more birthday. That'll be the last birthday that I have that has a 2 in front of my secondary number. So, yeah. Time flies. But yeah, this is ordered in terms of expected goal involvement. And if you look, Son and Kane, you can't see it on screen, but Son is 0.86 and Kane is 0.84. This is over the last 4 game weeks, so 10 through 13. And De Bruyne is top, 3.58. Should have scored, at least 3.5 goals or a combination of goals and assists. And if we look at what De Bruyne has actually done, so I'm just going to bring it up here. From game week 10, he's gotten 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 assists, but he's got nothing in the United and West Brom game. So technically, you can argue that he's even worse than what his numbers would actually imply. Werner's up there. Salah's up there, but again, rumors of his benching. Rashford, again, just spoke about him just a little while ago. 2.38. He's could have potentially scored more. What actually has he done in that time period? Rashford has gotten 2 goals, one other goal, 1 assist. So he's definitely exceeding his numbers. So we're looking good. Bruno has a little bit slipped down the table a little bit. That's because United stopped getting penalties. Vardy's still up there, but I think that if Salah's potentially going to be benched, which he very well might be, and I think Southampton's going to make these numbers a lot worse, I think Bruno's the standout captain just because of the defense that we showed on screen. Which order on my bench is best? Always go with the attacker first. I would say Souček first, then Taylor, then Kufal. I always play the attacker first. Why do you think Salah will be benched? Just because there's been a lot of rumors of it. If he's not benched, then cool. I'm fine with that. Am I also fine with Salah playing 30 minutes versus Crystal Palace? Yeah, sure. But if he is benched, then we know he's not going to be benched for West Brom. So, but I don't understand why he would be benched, because they have a full week off because they don't play midweek in the EFL Cup because Liverpool's not in it. So, yeah, 3 minutes or less than 3 minutes till the deadline. So make sure to have your team locked in. We're going to quickly take a look at the season ticker. So based on attack, you can see they've now implemented the various different fixtures in here for it. And if you look, Villa's fixtures turn quite badly, whereas the likes of Leeds are up there with their double game week. Burnley's up there with their double game week, especially with the Sheffield United and Fulham fixtures. Early West Ham is a very good game week, but doesn't have much good leading up to it. There's a lot of the season ticker shows quite good in terms of offense. In terms of defense, Burnley is right up there. Man United is up there even, but United's defense is bad. Leeds is up there. And then if you look at defense, Villa, Southampton, not great. So more offense for Southampton for double game week. So yeah. Let me put my team back up on screen. It's a bad place and a tough game for them today. Yeah, I mean, it is. Selhurst Park is not fun to go to. Eze and Zaha can cause problems for the fullbacks and haven't been in good form. So could be quite tough, especially if they're thinking about benching Salah. Could easily be a 1-1 today. But I think Liverpool will probably just edge it. They can't bench Salah. No replacement is good. Yeah, not really. They really can't. I mean, they could play... They could potentially play like Origi out on the left, put Mane out on the right. Something like that. They could. Will Klopp do that? Not sure. I'm going Bruno over Salah, hoping it ain't go bad. I mean, a lot of people are going to go with Bruno. Bruno is a United player, and a lot of people like United just globally. So. Just less than 1 minute, 6:59. We'll probably do a countdown in a second here. When time comes. No Jota equals no rotation, pretty much. I would think that would make them make sense. Palace have had a decent record versus Pool and play well versus Spurs. Exactly. You have a love-hate relationship with Ings. I do. I think Ings burned me last season when I didn't have him. And I'm going to keep him for the time being. And Minamino is horrible. I think he's just not being played, implemented in the correct way. And what transfers did you make? I did Sanchez in for McCarthy and Taylor in for Alex Tellez. Also 10 seconds left. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it is deadline time. So hopefully any last changes that you made, hopefully you've done them. But yeah, basically I brought in Sanchez because he has Sheffield United and West Ham. And assuming that everything goes to plan, I will be taking Cho out the following week to use my one last transfer for the first half of the season to bring in Trent Alexander-Arnold. Yeah. But yeah. Let's do a little refresh here. Site hasn't broken yet, but yeah. Yeah. But yeah, should be quite interesting. The nervy thing is when you guys see me for the deadline stream on the for the 16th. So we're going to be up for that. So the deadline is 9:30 a.m. my time, which is 8:30 a.m. EST, which means I have to be up at 7:30 a.m. EST. So a little bit later, about normally around the time that I actually wake up. So it's not going to be as bad. I'll be able to use my proper mic, probably. And I'll be on a wild card. So gonna be real interesting. So you guys are gonna have a bit of a fun show, for that. And then also the night before, if anyone who follows FPL Black Box will know that Mark Southerners is also on a wild card, or will be. So that should be quite interesting. Thanks for the stream. Always great content. Much appreciated. Not sure why the fantasy site hasn't broken, but anyway, we won't mess with it. Anyway, let's just run through the lineup one more time while we can still see it. Actually, I'll take a screenshot of it as well, just so I can put it out on the socials. Those that didn't join us. And I'll move that across. Yeah. Sanchez came in place of McCarthy. He's in goal. Lamptey is in there with Sheffield United as well for a double Brighton defense. That sounds pretty crazy, but it is a bit of a big differential. But if it pays off, it's going to pay off big. Chilwell versus West Ham. Taylor in for Tellez, who I don't think is going to start anyway tomorrow. Taylor in, who could potentially be a good double game week player. De Bruyne. Fernandez captain. Salah vice captain. Grealish, Adams, Bamford, and Ings, with Steer on the bench, who's not going to play. Burke, Kilman, and Ayling. So let's move over to the big screen. Let's thank everyone in the chat. Thank you all for joining me. Hopefully you like the new look Pilot Flame with the glasses. Apparently these are a lot better for my eyes and whatnot. Thank you, Mono, for joining. Thank you, Zodiac. Thank you, Hazard. Thank you, Zaka. All those that have decided to. Victor Sweet as well for the follow. Thank you all for joining. If you would like to support the stream, you can do so. We do have various different emojis that we have, which I'll just post in the chat. Again, it is not warranted to join the stream. Your just general conversation in the chat that we have is more than enough. But if you would like to support the stream, it is not mandatory, but it is definitely there. And you can get the little Pilot Flame emote in there, depending on your tier of sub. But again, not mandatory, but it's definitely appreciated. Also, make sure if you haven't done so, go subscribe over on the YouTube channel. This VOD is going to be over there in just a bit. Follow us here if you haven't done so already. Follow us over on Twitter. And yeah, that's Game Week 14 deadline. And until the next one, take care.